Welcome to Cape Fear Business Roundtable. I'm your host, Frank Williams, and today our guest is I started to say Christina Rivenbark. She's a lawyer. You're Christina Haley, who is the CEO of Wilmington Downtown. I don't know where that came from, but Christina Haley, CEO of Wilmington Downtown Incorporated, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Frank.
Before we jump in and talk about Wilmington Downtown, I do want to mention our two sponsors, which are two brand building organizations located under one roof. One is Pioneer Strategies, which is a marketing and communication firm, and Pioneer Strategies can help your business or association or nonprofit with everything from logo design to communication planning to digital advertising to web design. So give them a call if you need help with any of those. The sister company is Pioneer Specialties, a promotional products organization, and Pioneer Specialties has access to over 1 million products from 4,300 suppliers worldwide, which means they can search for products you don't even know to look for, and they'll manage the whole process so you don't have to think about it and you can focus on running your business. So check them out if you need help with any kind of branding assistance, and they'll be happy to assist you with that. So with that, we'll jump on in, and Christina, again, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And you and I just talked about this off screen, but there have been a lot of new people moving into our area. So tell us where you're from and how you wound up in southeastern North Carolina.
Sure. Well, I grew up half of my life in Houston, Texas. It's where a lot of my family is. And then we moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. My father had a position there. And then, I stayed in Charlotte middle school, high school years and ended up going to UNCW for university. I was here and moved here in 2003 and have pretty much been here ever since, except for that year and a half through COVID. I think that changed lives for everybody, and so I eventually moved back to Wilmington after about a year and a half through that COVID pandemic, and have been here ever since.
I've interviewed quite a few people who got here because of UNCW, so that seems to be a common theme, and some of them didn't go to school there, but they moved here to work at the university and are still in this area. But well, tell us a little bit about what your favorite non-work related either thing to do or place to go in this part of the state is. Obviously, we're going to talk about work, but tell us what you like to do when you're not at work as far as restaurants or places to go.
Sure. Well, I hate not, but I really do live and breathe downtown. When I'm not working, I'm usually with my children, and sometimes we go to the beach, and sometimes we come to downtown Wilmington, and we'll go to the farmers market and explore down here. I love history. There's an archaeological excavation that is taking place in downtown Wilmington currently. It's been going on since 2019, and when I do have spare time away from the kids, I do take the opportunity to go out there and help folks excavate and clean artifacts at the archaeological headquarters off of Front Street. And I'm also the treasurer of the Public Archaeology Corps Board of Directors. So I've spent a lot of time downtown, including working down here. So it's pretty much what I do.
I've seen your post about the archaeological dig on your Facebook, and I thought that was very interesting to see. It's interesting to find out what people do when they're not at work. And speaking of work, I want to talk a little bit about your career path and how you wound up as CEO of Wilmington Downtown. When I met you, you were in a completely different type of role. You were a reporter. So tell us a little bit about your career path and what led you to where you are now.
Sure. Well, I started out working after college, working two part-time jobs, one helping manage in the film industry, helping manage an ADR voiceover and on-location sound recording studio that operated out of what was formerly EE Screen Gem Studios. And then I also worked part-time as an inspiring journalist, and so at the Greater Wilmington Business Journal. Eventually, I landed a full-time position with a local online publication, Port City Daily. I worked there for a number of years doing crime and courts reporting, general assignment reporting, and then eventually moved back to working with the Business Journal and doing economic development reporting. I did that for a number of years with the Greater Wilmington Business Journal. Met a lot of the players in the economic development world, and a position opened up right at the outset of COVID with Wilmington Downtown Incorporated to become a marketing vice president of marketing and business outreach. And so I thought that it was time for me to stop writing about economic development and actually contributing to the local economy and working within economic development. And so I landed that role and eventually just have worked my way up to vice president, and then last year was named president and CEO of the organization in June. So there's been a lot of hefty projects that I've had underneath my tenure as president and CEO, and just grateful of the opportunity to continue to help shift downtown.
And now that you mention it, I remember you covering economic development at the Business Journal, and that does make sense that that's how you built some of the connections that landed you in this role. And it's, economic development, we could probably do an entirely separate podcast just talking about that, because it's such an interesting topic about how to promote and grow an economy, whether it's in a downtown area or, Brunswick County where we're looking to recruit industry. But we could do a whole different podcast on that, so we won't get off into the weeds. But tell us a little bit about Wilmington Downtown, what your mission and vision is, what impact you want to have in downtown, and what types of issues and trends you're seeing in the area.
Sure. Wilmington Downtown Incorporated was an organization that was founded in 1977, so it's been here for quite some time. It was originally formed as a public-private partnership between a group of stakeholders that were investing in downtown, the city of Wilmington, and then later in New Hanover County. Eventually, that organization has had its ebb and flows. We started concentrating on concerts and building to revive the growth. But the overall mission has generally stayed the same. WDI's mission is to promote the vitality and economic growth of the Central Business District, and more recently have included some of the emerging commercial districts in that footprint. We are here to stimulate investment opportunities, to help bring jobs, and to help bring businesses that will create a beautiful fabric downtown and create a dynamic downtown for this community, a place where families and individuals can come and enjoy. So that's the overall mission, and we do it through a number of strategic initiatives, from business recruitment and retention, site selection, developer assistance, to managing the Municipal Services District, which is by far our largest contract with the city of Wilmington, to help downtown remain safe and clean, make sure that it's a clean environment for people to come into. I also have one unhoused outreach social worker that works on that crew. And so we do have a very big umbrella of initiatives underneath the WDI umbrella that we continue to work in and actually continue to grow. And I can answer any questions from that, but I'll stop there. We do have a large mission.
You mentioned some of the commercial districts that you brought into the footprint. What are some of those, and where are those located?
So we have a microloan program that we allow businesses to borrow up to $20,000 at 3/4 of the New York prime rate, with a partnership with Civic Federal Credit Union. And included with that contract with the city, we are now facilitating business loans in all 7 emerging commercial districts. So that's Castle Street, Cargo, the Soda Pop District, the Brooklyn Arts District, the Marina District, which is by far our newest district that has been formed, and also South Front. There's a ton of opportunity, and we've had some wonderful developers that have come in and truly invested thoughtfully into these surrounding communities to make these mixed-use projects that have improved the neighborhoods and the environment around them. So those are the 7.
And one thing I think I've observed, and correct me if I'm wrong, is in a lot of those areas they take existing, maybe older buildings, and rather than tear them down and build something new, they try to refurbish or rehab some of those structures and use them for new purposes. Is that something, have I correctly observed that, or am I making that up?
No, sir, you are correct. That's pretty much how the Soda Pop District has kind of been, elevated, if you would. Andy Hewitt was one of the developers that went out and purchased about 3 blocks in the Soda Pop District and took the old Coca-Cola bottling factory and turn it into this great urban mixed-use space where you have warehouse and light industrial in the back using the bays of the facility, a nod to what it once was. And then in the front area, it's been redeveloped and sectioned off into various retail spaces where you have the Ibis Bar and you have the little ice cream shop and a couple other artisan retailers that are out there. And then across the street, you've got Bowstring Brewyard and then Highwire and Cugino Forno, all redevelopment opportunities that this one developer has really put a lot of thought and money into to create this centralized hub of commercial activity.
And I personally like seeing these older buildings refurbished and redeveloped because they've got character. They're not just the new cookie cutter. They've got some history, and you can see it when you visit them. So that's. Can people find out more about these projects on your website? Are they detailed there?
Yes, you can go to wilmingtondowntown.com, and we have a section for each district where we really try and keep it updated with the latest business developments that have taken shape. More recently, specifically in the Soda Pop district, the YMCA of Southeastern North Carolina has located their office space there. And they even have a little warehouse space in the back where they put all their meals and snacks. There's just a ton going on, and we're welcoming new businesses to this community. What is now being looked at as the greater downtown area. We're constantly welcoming new businesses down here.
Well, talking a little bit more about what you're seeing in downtown, what kind of trends are you seeing, and what challenges and opportunities do you see in terms of downtown in the upcoming years?
Well, we've seen a lot of new and growing retailers in the Central Business District, including growing office users. I know that the City Skyline Center is doing well in fulfilling the office space there. There's a couple new office tenants that we're welcoming downtown, including the return of Untapped for Business on South Front Street. So we're seeing office users come in. We're also seeing new and emerging national retailers come in as well, international. Game Over Escape Rooms opened last year in October. It's an international gaming escape room company that's actually based in Greece. And then more recently, we welcomed Crispy Cones, which is another retailer. It's an As Seen on Shark Tank ice cream shop that has these dough cones. And this was location number 31 across the nation, and they're slated to open 100 additional locations throughout the United States. So we're just seeing a lot of retail growth. The challenge is, however, is we need more inventory. We're at a 3% vacancy rate in our retail segment, and we need more space for people to locate. And I'm constantly on the hunt for new retail locations that are redeveloped. Recently, we had 277 North Front Street redeveloped property that actually was broken up into two separate retail components. So that's great news. We have additional retail there, but they're already full. And with tenant announcements to come. And then we've got a new office user that's coming in on South Front Street, so that's becoming full. And then we're seeing some consolidation of retail space coming in as well, where that'll open up a new spot. But like I said, we need more inventory to support all this growth, and it just I've got people constantly calling, trying to find something in the Central Business District and even some of the emerging commercial districts too. So it's really exciting times.
That is a good problem to have. I've had the chance to visit a lot of small downtowns around North Carolina, and in far too many of them I see vacant spaces and nothing coming there. And it sounds like you've got the opposite problem, and I think that's a problem a lot of other downtowns would love to have, is to have more demand than space. So that's a good thing. But it sounds like you've got some exciting things going on. What other plans does WDI have coming up, and what else would you like for us to know about your organization?
Sure. Well, we are getting ready to release another grant program initiative. So right now we have a facade improvement grant where we allow, funding up to $2,500 for a single storefront improvement and up to $5,000 for an improvement for a dual facade improvement facing a street or a street and an alleyway. It's a reimbursement grant. It's a 50% match up to. And that has helped a number of businesses within the Central Business District specifically to revamp their storefronts, add new signage, put some paint on, get some extra lighting, and that sort of thing. In addition to that, we are adding a public safety grant where we are encouraging businesses to purchase the exterior cameras that they need to support security of their businesses, including security lighting, and then signing the MOU with the Wilmington Police Department to have that camera connected to WPD Sting Center. The more eyes that we have on the streets, the safer our community can become and the better that police can respond to emergencies downtown, especially violent crime issues. So I'm very excited to launch this program. We've given out a couple grant applications thus far, and I'm hoping to solidify a couple of grants through our grants, WDI Grants Committee, by the end of the year. We're also working on our holiday lighting initiative for next fiscal year. I'm still waiting to see what the City of Wilmington's going to allocate for the budget for that this coming fiscal year. I've told that we've had $200,000 carved out of the MSD fund balance in order to support the lighting project for this coming year. And I'm working on contracts to sign by the end of June in order to get that project going. It's a huge lighting effort that we do across the Riverwalk and in central parts of the downtown core. In addition to that, we are still waiting to hear back from the City of Wilmington what standards and provisions lie in creating a social district for the Wilmington community, more specifically the Brooklyn Arts District, because those businesses out there wish to continue the pilot that we worked on back in February. So there's a lot of initiatives that we have about, and there's plenty more to talk about, but I'll stop there.
Sounds like you have a lot going on, and I've learned a lot that I had no idea you guys did just during this short conversation. Is there one major thing you want to share about WDI that we haven't talked about?
I just think that we need as much support as we can get for the downtown area. Downtown economic development in a downtown segment in a downtown urban environment is much different from what our other partners like Wilmington Business Development does. They're after the big heavy hitting industry recruiters and the big jobs, and we're more geared towards fostering a walkable, livable environment. And I think that there's a number of projects that we as a downtown community should be going after. One that may be fulfilled in the future. We've long sought after a grocery store, and so now developers and investors are inching towards working on agreements with the city in order to spark a national grocer in the Central Business District, which is transformational. We're waiting to see the opening of Project Grace. That's coming online here pretty soon. The library will be closed and all those books will be moving into the downtown and to the new downtown facility. And we'll see the Cape Fear Museum move in within the next year. So there's so much more to be done. There's a lot of investment that we hope will take place on the city's north properties. Those north properties are able to be developed up to 240 feet, which is the highest height restriction that we have. So, in order to help raise the tax base for the Central Business District, we are hoping that, those will be dense projects that will help support the growing tax base in our community. I think last year, the taxable year, we're at $740 million in property tax value alone in the Central Business District. And that generated a substantial amount of property taxes for the city of Wilmington. I think it was about over $3 million for the city and over $3 million for New Hanover County, and just under $500,000 of MSD revenue generated. So, continuing to grow our downtown tax base is another key is another key goal of Wilmington Downtown Incorporated. Not just bringing in the small retailers and the office users, but encouraging thoughtful development of what vacant properties we still have and redevelopment opportunities within the older buildings that we have remaining downtown.
What are some ways that someone who wanted to help with what you're doing could support your mission, besides obviously opening a business in downtown and patronizing the businesses? What other ways are there, except donations, or what are some other ways people could support you?
Sure. We're a nonprofit organization, and I'm getting ready to revamp our sponsorship opportunities for this coming fiscal year. We have a number of things that we need support in doing. So support by way of donations and sponsorships of WDI activities. There are seats available on our board, so we've already closed out board applications for this year, but should someone be interested and want to be a part of the organization, I would encourage you to submit an application to be on our board or get involved in one of our committees. We have several committees: a grants committee, events committee, sponsorships committee, and a downtown development committee. And we meet on either a quarterly basis or as necessary in order to help shape the direction of Wilmington Downtown Incorporated. So those are the ways that we can get involved, or they can feel free to email me at christina@wilmingtondowntown.com, or all my information is online.
And one final question about the business side before we get into some personal lessons. It's obvious you have a passion for what you're doing. I can see that and hear that. What do you love about what you do?
I think I like the people that I get to work with. There's so many different personalities down here in so many ways to help shape this community, and I truly, truly love this community, and I like being able to see vision and implement that vision for the future, for not only the people who live and work in downtown, but for all of southeastern North Carolina, because this is a wonderful hub for people to invest, to live, and to explore, and just a destination where locals and visitors can come and find a good bite to eat, or grab a drink, or bring their children down here. It's instilling and implementing the vision that our 37-member board of directors sees is an absolute pleasure, and I think that's what I love about it most.
Sidebar note: 37 members is a big board, so that I'm on a board of 50 and another board that's even bigger than that. So it's not too big, but that's still a big board. But I always ask my guests to share some lessons that they would pass on to people who are starting out in their career. So the first one is, what have you learned during your career that you wish you had known when you started?
Oh gosh. Perseverance is key. I think that when I first started, there's always this passion, but finding that direction in the career after so many different avenues, but definitely perseverance is key, and I didn't learn that until a little bit later in my career, and but here we are, and very happy to be where I am today.
And I've had more than one guest share perseverance being the lesson they learned, and I think it's so true. I saw a quote that said, sometimes the person who wins is just the one that hangs on after everybody else lets go. And I thought that was a great quote. And similar question, but what advice would you give somebody starting out in their career, whether it's in a business similar to yours or just in general?
Networking is key. You cannot network enough. You cannot have enough conversations. You cannot meet enough people. The expansion of your networking opportunities is vital to your growth as a professional and as a person. Your career journey is built off of relationships, and maintaining good professional relationships is the path to success.
And I 110% agree with that. I've heard it said that relationships are the currency of leadership, and I think it is so absolutely true. We'll close it out with one more kind of personal question, and Well, I like to ask people, what are you either currently reading, or what kind of podcast do you listen to, or what else do you do along those lines to get your mind off of work, or maybe related to work?
It's most certainly related to work. Right now, I'm reading A Walkable City by Jeff Speck.
Yeah, that's
And
related to work.
yes, it's how downtowns can save America, and I do listen to a few podcasts that are built off downtown, and just I was listening to one actually this morning about how downtown Houston is reshaping several key blocks within their urban city, and there's some lessons learned. They've got when you talk about grants, our grants are typically $25,000 a year that the city of Wilmington gives, and theirs are $2.5 million a year, or $2.25 million a year. So just trying to do my best to research and see what other cities are doing, so that we can take best practices and try and implement them here in Wilmington too.
And the fact that your podcasts that you listen to are related to work shows that you've got a passion. Sarah, I interviewed Dr. Gutabi from UNCW, and I think his was related to pro sports or something, completely unrelated to what he did. And several people have said that's what they do to get away from work. So that shows you have a passion for what you're doing, that you're hungry to learn. Was there anything else you'd like to share before we close it out?
I don't believe so. I would just like to encourage folks that if you haven't been to downtown Wilmington lately, please schedule a time to come out this summer. We've got a ton of new restaurants, fine dining, great new bars, great new activities down here. We just welcomed a tiki boat downtown over this past weekend, and they sold out all tours for the first day, and they're just boating out there on the Cape Fear River. I just encourage you, if you haven't been down here in quite some time, come see us and take a look at what we have to offer. I think you'd be surprised about how far we've come as a community since the past 5 years, even a decade.
And as someone who grew up in this area, it's come a long, long way since I was a kid. I mean, it's a place that it's just a whole different world, and I commend the work that you're doing. And if people want to find out, you said your website's wilmingtondowntown.com, correct?
Yes, it is.
Well, Christina Haley, thank you for joining us today, and I hope that everyone will tune in and watch this and go spend some money in downtown Wilmington. For everybody who is watching this or listening on your favorite podcast app, please go to capefearbusiness.com. You can follow us there on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you prefer to listen, and we thank you for listening and hope you'll tune in next week. And Christina, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Frank, for having me.